You know that feeling when you are doing absolutely everything right, but somehow you still just can't seem to get ahead financially? Well, if that sounds familiar, you're definitely in the right place. In this explainer, we are completely decoding the psychology behind your financial decisions. Because escaping the financial struggle, it isn't just about avoiding laziness, and it's certainly not just a matter of having bad luck. It is fundamentally about what's actually happening physically and psychologically inside your brain. I mean, think about it. If working hard was the only secret to getting rich, our world would look very, very different. So let's get into it and figure out exactly why that is.
Okay, let's dive into this. Picture a construction worker, right? Sweating under the blazing sun, doing grueling, back-breaking physical labor day in and day out. Now, contrast that with a corporate CEO who might spend most of their days sitting in a climate-controlled office, yet somehow accumulates massive wealth. If hard work alone truly equaled wealth, those construction workers would be the multimillionaires, and a lot of CEOs would be dead broke. The myth that the amount of sweat you produce perfectly correlates to the size of your bank account simply doesn't hold up in the real world. Section 1. The hard work myth. Does effort really equal wealth?
We've all been handed the exact same script since we were kids, haven't we? Work hard, save your pennies, and one day you're going to be rich. But the reality is, millions of people are working 2 jobs, completely skipping vacations, eating cheap food, and still living paycheck to paycheck. The effort is 100% there, the exhaustion is totally real, but the wealth? It's just missing. To really understand why that hard work script is so deeply flawed, we have to look at a genuinely fascinating mystery. Why do lottery winners return to poverty? Think about it. If the only thing keeping someone poor is a lack of money, then handing them millions of dollars should permanently solve the whole shebang, shouldn't it? But it doesn't. People win the jackpot, celebrate, and then completely lose it all, ending up right back in the exact same financial struggle they started in.
And the time frame for this collapse is staggering. Studies show that lottery winners who come from poverty go broke again within just 3 to 5 years of winning. 3 to 5 years. That is all it takes to blow through literally millions of dollars. Crazy, right? But this tells us something absolutely crucial. If wealth was just about having cash in your hand, this statistical reality wouldn't even be possible. The real problem, the actual barrier to lasting wealth, lives inside the brain, not just the bank account.
Section 2. The Scarcity Mindset. How Poverty Changes Brains.
So, back in 2013, there was this truly groundbreaking study conducted by Princeton economist Sendil Mullainathan and psychologist Eldar Shafir. And what they discovered fundamentally changed how scientists understand poverty forever. They figured out that a lack of resources doesn't just empty your wallet, it actually hijacks your mind. The researchers found that constant financial worry forces your brain into what they coined the scarcity mindset. And this creates a really powerful tunnel vision effect. Your brain becomes so intensely laser-focused on the immediate burning problem, like, say, figuring out how you're going to pay this month's rent, that it physically strips away your cognitive ability to think long-term. You literally cannot see the bigger picture, because your brain is forcing you to focus exclusively on the immediate threat right in front of you.
Think of it like this. Imagine your brain is a smartphone or a computer. A brain without financial stress is like running one app smoothly. Everything is fast, responsive, easy. But a brain in scarcity? That's like a computer trying to run 50 complex apps at the exact same time. It's a total bottleneck. The scarcity mindset slows down your entire cognitive processing speed. Everything freezes up. You can't think clearly, and you certainly can't plan ahead for next year because your brain is forced into pure, unfiltered survival mode just to make it through today.
Section 3. Your brain on stress. The chemistry of broke.
Now, what's really interesting about this is that poverty and financial struggle aren't just psychological concepts. They trigger severe biological reactions in your body that directly impact your ability to make good choices. When you're under constant financial pressure, your body releases a stress hormone called cortisol. Now, in small bursts, cortisol is actually great. It's what helps you react quickly to immediate danger, like jumping out of the way of a speeding car. But chronic financial stress, that means you're always worrying about money, which means your brain is constantly flooded with cortisol. And over time, being marinating in constantly high levels of cortisol causes actual biological damage to a specific part of your brain called the prefrontal cortex.
Right, so why does that matter? Well, your prefrontal cortex happens to be responsible for planning, self-control, long-term thinking, and rational decision-making. Literally, the exact mental tools you desperately need to pull yourself out of a bad financial situation. But because the stress of not having money is flooding your brain with cortisol and damaging this very specific area, the stress literally shrinks your biological ability to think your way out of the problem. It's wild.
And this right here creates what we call the broke cycle. It's a hidden, vicious trap that is both psychological and physiological.
The very people who most need to make the best financial decisions are the ones whose brains are currently the least equipped to make them. And it's not because they lack intelligence, not at all. It's because the state of poverty itself is so deeply mentally exhausting. The cruelest part of this whole exhausting loop is that most people don't even realize they're trapped inside it.
Section 4. The systemic trap. The unequal game.
Now, while that brain chemistry is totally real, we have to take a step back and acknowledge that the playing field isn't exactly level. The system itself plays a massive role in keeping people stuck. And it is absolutely crucial to recognize these external realities so you know what you're up against. Think about typical dinner table conversations. Kids from wealthy families grow up routinely hearing vocabulary words like investment, compound interest, assets, and passive income. It's just normalized for them. Meanwhile, kids from low-income families grow up hearing a completely different vocabulary. We can't afford that, money doesn't grow on trees, or just focus on getting a stable job. The foundational financial inputs are completely different right from day one.
And those systemic hurdles go way beyond the dinner table. There is virtually zero real financial education taught in most schools. On top of that, banks and financial institutions actively target low-income neighborhoods with predatory loans and exorbitant interest rates. It's a harsh reality, but the game was never designed to be equal, and pretending that it is, that's just part of the problem. But listen, understanding this unequal game is incredibly empowering, because finally seeing the trap for what it is the very first step to actually escaping it.
Section 5. How to break free. Steps to escape the cycle.
All right, we've talked about the brain chemistry, the cognitive overload, and the systemic hurdles. Now let's pivot and look at the tangible, actionable steps you can actually take today to break this cycle, regain control of your cognitive load, and start rewiring your financial future. Here are the 3 steps that actually work. Step 1. Name the trap. Simply knowing your brain is operating in scarcity mode is a superpower. When you feel that sudden urge to make an impulsive choice, take a 1-second pause. Ask yourself, am I reacting to fear right now? That single pause can stop the impulse in its tracks. Step 2. Reduce your mental load. Remember, scarcity thrives on chaos. You've got to automate your finances to save that precious mental energy. And Step 3. Change your financial inputs. If you only ever hear broke conversations, you're only going to think broke thoughts. You have to slowly reprogram your brain with new educational content.
Let's anchor that second step with some concrete data. Think about just one single dollar. By setting up an automatic savings transfer of as little as $1 a day, you can build incredible financial habits. I know, it sounds totally insignificant, but the dollar amount isn't actually the point here. The point is that when your decisions are automatic, your brain does not have to waste energy making a choice every single day. You are actively eliminating decision fatigue and freeing up your own cognitive processing power. It's a real game changer. And honestly, regarding that third step, changing your inputs, you've actually already started doing that just by watching this explainer. You are actively choosing to consume content about money, about mindset, and about the psychology of wealth. And by doing this, you are slowly reprogramming what feels normal to your brain. So give yourself some credit. Validate your own effort right now, because seriously, this counts as a massive step in changing those financial inputs.
As we wrap up today, I want to leave you with this really powerful quote. The most dangerous kind of poverty is not the one in your wallet. It is the one in your thinking. An empty bank account, that's just a temporary circumstance. But unlike an empty bank account, your thinking, your cognitive load, and your mindset can actively be changed starting today. Once you free your mind from the scarcity trap, your wallet will absolutely eventually follow.
So I want to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative question. What is the very first thought you are going to change today? Because the cycle ends the moment you decide to take that 1-second pause and reclaim your prefrontal cortex. Take these insights, apply them to your own financial journey, and just watch how your world begins to shift. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I will see you next time.